Hi Sumit.
Hey Sonali, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
All good. How things with you?
Things are great. Things are great. Thanks for asking. Where are you logging in from today?
Well, I woke up. I thought I was in Venice, but it turns out it's only flooded Gurgaon. So,
Oh my God, that's not a good thing. Should I be worried? What kind of stuff should I bring for my trip?
oh, just pack an inflatable raft. You'll be fine.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Ordering from Blinkit right away. Awesome.
Are they
Awesome.
are they paying you for this pitch?
Not yet, but I think I can use this as a pitch to them.
Definitely, yeah.
You're giving me a nice business idea. I think that should be my retirement plan.
It'll take a lot of rafts to make it into a retirement plan, though.
Bangalore is not too bad from the flooding sometimes itself. So I think we're doing good.
Yeah, I mean Bangalore is at a different level altogether. You can have a raft traffic jam as well. In Gurgaon, at least you'll move if you have a raft.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Gurgaon traffic is pretty bad too, but I don't think it adds up to how Bangalore is most of the year.
It doesn't. Definitely
Yeah, it
doesn't.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, fair enough. All right then. So again, thanks for joining. Thanks for accepting this invite. I think it was long overdue. We've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fun fact. I actually, before I started doing these lives with whoever I've done it with so far, you were the first person I had reached out to when I had the idea that let's do some LinkedIn live stuff. And because I see you all the time on LinkedIn, I feel like, hey, you'll be fun to kind of speak with.
Hmm. Now I'm starting to get worried if this is a compliment or
No, it is a compliment. It is a compliment. But I think we were unable to do it because not because of you, because I think your account got banned or restricted or something. You remember? You were struggling with it.
yes, I definitely remember. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yes.
Beautiful
Yeah,
memory.
that yeah, that was the time when so I was like, oh, that's obviously you can't do a LinkedIn live without the LinkedIn part. But
True.
thankfully that got fixed and you're here. Yes. Awesome.
So I was inadvertently a pirate, which is why I got banned.
Oh God, that is. But you know what? Important thing. I was going through your profile yesterday, and you have a link, right? I think it's a link to a book. Oh no, it's a link to your Medium page. And I clicked on it, and I went to the Medium page, and I saw your picture somewhere on the right side of the whole page. And I first of all, I thought you had linked another person's page. I couldn't believe that was you. Oh my God. What did you like? Do you live at the gym? Because you look completely different from how you used to look before. That is crazy.
The medium picture is, I mean, I don't know how old it is actually.
Yeah, because like you've aged backwards, so not complaining.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. All right, awesome. So again, thanks for joining. For all the people who are watching us, wherever you are, my name is Sonali. I'm the founder of Youmanize, and we have Sumit here, who is the founder of HR Plus. So before I ask Sumit to kind of give an introduction to himself, I just want to quickly set context as to how I know Sumit. Like Sumit and I have never met in person so far. We have been LinkedIn friends. That's the new pen pal, I guess, of this the professional world. And I think I got yeah your content popped up on my feed because we have a few mutual connects, and it's found all the things you used to write so interesting. I think you have a lot of storytelling elements to it. You're pretty regular on the platform as well, and it's just and you're also the kind of content you put is very in line with my thoughts. Your girl dad and your a lot of content which is equality women pro women of sorts without being too rough on the edges. But yeah, if you need to be out there, you're out there. So I like the way you just put yourself out there, and I think we need more people like you. So I was just interested, and I think we got talking, and here we are. And pretty soon we're gonna see each other in person, and you'll figure out that I am pretty short than I look on video, which is what
Yeah,
I've
that's the
reported at
funny thing.
times.
That's the funny thing about these Zoom calls that you realize that people are much taller, much shorter than you kind of imagine them to be. So we're all like talking heads on a screen. It's funny to meet
Yeah.
people in real life, but
Yeah.
really looking forward to it. And just a couple of lines about myself. I've been in the consulting and HR space for about 2 decades now, which is why you see a lot of the white hair. Uh, some of my clients say that they've got hair that's whiter than mine, and I'm one of the reasons. Um, if you meet anyone like that, don't believe them. But yeah, so two of the things that are close to my heart are solving people problems and writing about solving people problems as well. So very happy to be having this discussion, and of course, yes, looking forward to meet in person.
Awesome, awesome. So I think this is the topic for today. It's called the people's culture connection because I think that's how our interest areas, at least in the professional side of things, work side of things, also matches. And I have a interesting question. Like your organization is called HR Plus. What does the plus stand for?
The plus stands for, usually people just think of HR as a fulfillment function, as basically somebody you can, who's at your beck and call. As a founder, you ask them to deliver certain things, which could be new hires, which could be various policies. Sometimes you expect them to um, just wave around a magic wand and fix all of your attrition and turnover problems at once. Doesn't happen, but the plus means that it's not only HR. There are certain upstream and downstream areas that link to HR as well, which are things like enabling your managers to run culture. So culture is not an HR initiative. Every manager is a culture or should be a culture champion. HR can show you the mirror, HR can show you the right tools to develop culture, but as a manager, if you're dealing with people, culture is your responsibility. So the plus just
Mhm.
talks about things that other leaders need to do to make sure that in an ideal world, you don't even need HR.
Awesome. That's really cool. I think whenever I talk to people who have like very interesting opinions in this space, I often wonder if there's a personal story behind it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I feel about this because up until very recently, I never thought that culture is something that companies think about or should think about because I always felt like work is just a non-fun part of life. You just have to do it, right? You've heard your parents, you've heard other adults in your life kind of look at work like, you don't look for fulfillment at work, you don't look for fun at work, you don't look for community at work. You just have to. That's just something you have to do. And but I internally was never convinced with that idea, but I didn't see anything otherwise. And then I started to see a different kind of world which is outside of the corporate workspaces, and then I figured perhaps that is the space that I should go in because I need whatever hours I spend of my life to be some level of fulfillment, some level of fun should be there. And then I figured that, hey, this is a whole industry about culture, people. There are people in the office spaces actively working on it. And managers can make a difference, or rather, should make a difference, but they never think of it that way. And a lot of managers also are great independent performers. And that's how they become managers. They don't become managers because they're great people person, or they are great leaders or influencers of sorts. They just that's the next step for them because they are great at their job. I don't know how that works either because the moment they become managers, they stop doing their independent work as source and start managing teams which they are absolutely unqualified for. And people take it so much for granted. It's just like parenting. You just learn on the job. You don't have to think about it before at all. Right? So do you have a story like that due to which you got into this space?
So I don't think there's one single story. It's probably an evolutionary uh, journey and from ape to man kind of a thing. But one of the experiences I remember very distinctly is I used to work at uh, GE Capital that time. So Genpact was called GE Capital, and um, I was preparing for my MBA entrance exams. So I had my XLRI interview coming up in the next couple of days. So I requested my manager for leave, and my manager says, "Why do you want leave at such short notice?" And in my head, I went, "Oh man, there we go again." Um, so I was, I don't have the I don't have a plethora of relatives who are sick or dying or something of that sort. So I was honest with her. I told her that I've been preparing for the MBA entrance exams. I've got my interview that's coming up, and I'd like to prepare. So she says, "You're taking a day off for that," and there are all these alarm bells ringing in my head. I said, "Well, yes." She says, "No, I'm sanctioning three. Sumit, it's XLRA. You got to take it seriously." And I mean, it's been what 17 years since then. That memory is vivid in my mind, and that's the kind of difference a person makes, because she and I were still in touch. If I mean, if she had a position in her team, I would gladly recommend anyone I have as a friend and anyone I want to stay friends with. Um, Absolutely brilliant person to work with, and I think that's how cultures get created. That's how managers can really create culture. Even if I hadn't got through MBA, I think my motivation levels would have been top notch. And till the day, I mean, I of course exited the organization. I was there for 6 more months after, or a few more months after this incident. But till the last day, I felt motivated to perform, contribute, and not let a manager who believed in me down.
Love that. Wow. I think, I've started this series called Dear Manager where people kind of say things to me anonymously, which they are unable to say to their managers. And the premise is that most of these things are negative. But ever since I started to post that, I've also been getting positive responses through friends and family or people that I know are saying that, hey, I had a great manager. Right. And I would love to pick this story up and feature there because I think we also need to have role models in this space where someone who becomes a manager is only looking at other people around them or looking at their past experiences thinking I have never been managed well, so I don't have anyone to mirror or model. But these stories will let them understand that there are so many things that they can do just by being a half a decent human being to start off with, and then they can take it on from there. That's awesome.
Absolutely, I think. I mean, it's like watching the news, right? So nobody will come in on the news and say that, hey, there were no road accidents in the city of Delhi today. What's
Hmm.
breaking news is that there were five accidents and X number of people unfortunately lost their lives. So the viral potential of all the negatives that we hear is much higher than anything that's positive or good, which is why all the toxic managers, they go viral on, for starters, on Twitter or Reddit, then they come to LinkedIn, and then they get featured in news articles as well.
For sure, for sure. You know what? On that note, we have some good news. We have already gotten people who are asking us questions. So I'm going to pull up a few and I guess we can take a jab at it. So
Sure.
the first one is from a LinkedIn user who's asking any suggestions for someone who's recently started their career in HR? Almost have 1+ years in HR. How can I get into BP's role? Thoughts?
So one of my suggestions is, deeply question your motivation and thought process on why did you choose this career. So it's like what Dante said, that abandon hope, all ye who enter here. But yeah, now that I've cracked that silly joke, I'll get serious. So congratulations on starting your career in HR. How do I see an HR business partner? I see it as having three components. One, of course, is the HR, a little bit of base HR knowledge as a subject matter, uh, I wouldn't say expert, but as a subject matter student. So, assuming you've got some certification or something you've done in HR which qualifies you for the role. The second is, it's in the name itself, HR business partner. So you need to understand HR to some extent. More importantly, you need to understand the business. How is the business making money? What is the business model? Who are the kind of people that we're looking at to help us in succeeding? um, Using your HR knowledge and knowledge of the business, you need to become a responsible partner to the business. Your job is not to simply do somebody's bidding. Of course, with somebody, I mean, as someone who's got 1 year of experience, you can't expect to be in boardrooms and in all leadership discussions. But whatever you're doing, is there a way you can think about increasing efficiency or effectiveness? Like if you're a recruiter, can you think about a better channel which helps you in reducing the time to hire, which helps you in finding better talent? If you're managing let's say performance appraisals and rewards, is there a way you can do more with the same kind of budget? Do you have a recommendation saying if you increase the budget by x% I can deliver you better productivity by y%? So start thinking of problems that matter to the business. What happens with us in HR is we get to emotionally attached to some of our own parameters, like I've got a beautiful dashboard which says time to fill, status of pipeline. Nobody cares. What the CEO cares about is how many people do I need? How many of those positions are filled or unfilled? I don't really care about people who are stuck in limbo in stage X, Y, Z of the pipeline. Yes, if you got a problem to solve there, a manager is not giving you time. Um, by all means, fix it. But otherwise, talk business to business stakeholders, not HR jargon and language. But those are just my views. Sonali, would love to hear what you think about it.
Thanks a lot, Sumit. I think that's some really great advice. Honestly, I have not studied, like, HR is not something that I've studied. I've done BCom finance and then I did MBA in business management. HR was a subset of that, but I have a lot of experience in working with HRs. My add-on advice to this would be, from a whole different angle of being managed and being working with HRs and as allies, is two things. First is, a lot of us, when we enter a system, we instantly want to disrupt it. We feel that there's so much wrong with the system and I will be the person to change it. Great, that's a great attitude, but know that it's going to take some time, and you cannot fight with the system from the get go. You have to enter the system, rise the ladders till a certain extent, sit with the decision makers and the influencers, and then be able to make any change for that matter, right? So at the very bottom level, you might see certain things that doesn't align with your values in a certain way. In that, if that is really problematic, then you have to join an organization that aligns with your values. But in case you feel like, hey, it's okay, I will still be here, and then kind of rise to a certain level and change those, make those foundational changes, and I feel that I can do that, then you do it, right? That's number one. So don't get too emotional or personal about it. It's gonna hurt a bit, and but that's the prerequisite of the job in a certain way. Second is, this is very important. Please check your biases at all points of time, when you're hiring, when you're speaking to a person, when you're looking at resumes, whatever you're doing as an HR, which obviously has to do with a lot of judging people in a certain way. A lot of the things that we as human beings function out of is the bias. If we like a profile, if we like a person, if you want to move them ahead, or if you dislike a person, ask yourself, why do I logically dislike this person or like this person? What is the reason behind it? Or are there any other things that you're missing or you're picking up which has got nothing to do with the job? Right? As HRs, your role can make or break a person's career, and that comes with a lot of power and weightage, way more than I think we talk about this out loud. So merely destroying a person's career because of bias or because of something that they cannot understand is not fair. So just, kind of, those are things that perhaps can make you a little different than the other HRs as well, because I don't think many people think about bias at all. I think we should think about it at all levels. But as an HR, like I said, can make or break a person's career. So, kind of focus on that aspect too. All
I
right,
think that's
awesome.
fantastic advice. I mean, checking your biases, getting feedback from people, staying open to that feedback, those are things that require courage and emotional intelligence. So, but they do go a long way, like you said. Uh, they also take your career ahead, not only another person's, because um, you're able to do your job faster and better because you're no longer biased. So maybe you were rejecting five candidates because you've got a prejudice against a particular city or against a particular college. Maybe one of them was an absolute gem, and you've just let that person go.
Yeah,
Whereas they could have shortened your hiring cycle for starters and then come in and shown what a great recruiter you are.
yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, I have a very lovely comment to pull up. You're gonna really like this. This is Shikha. Is it my two favorite people doing a live conversation together? Yes, it
So
is.
we should reject that comment and say you need to put the two people in order. I mean, the two people need to be ranked. Otherwise, we will not consider the comment.
Love that. And Shika is also asking, do the questions need to be HR related only? Not really. People culture related as well. But there are a lot of questions related to HR. So yeah,
And in the next one, we can do football related discussions as well because I mean the season's about to kick off. So more than happy to.
why not? Why not? All right. So we have a comment that talks about what we said. That's a good insight and suggestion, Sonali. The urge of making a change when new is very strong, and the need to control that urge and ensure that sitting with stakeholders to take things slow is important. Biases, yeah, easier said than done, for sure.
True.
And we have Rajneesh who's saying HR plays a role simultaneously on both sides with the employees as well as with the managers until both are sitting in one room. Anyone? All right, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the next question, which is from Raju. Raju is asking, when HR negotiates a notice period and salary, what is going on inside their mind, and what should be the answer to get positive result? Wow, that's a very specific question. Sumit, you wanna take a
So
jab?
I mean, I'm going to assume that the answer to get positive result is from the HR person's perspective, not from a job seeker's perspective. So the idea is that a negotiation on your notice period is obviously to. I mean, if I've got a if so let's start at the beginning. Let's say I get a requisition from the business stakeholder saying we need to hire, say, five software developers. Uh, okay, when do you want them? Oh, I want them yesterday, not today, not tomorrow, not after 60 days. So get them to me at the earliest. So therefore, there's a time bomb ticking the moment you get the requisition. Hence, as soon as you find a candidate, you start looking out for negotiating on the notice period. You say that I would like you to join at the earliest. We might consider buying out the notice period as well, depending on how urgent the position is. So what's going on is that KRA is mine, which is time to fill. How many days do I take from offer requisition till rolling out the offer and let's say the candidate joining? So at some places it's still the offer rollout date. At some places it's still the candidate's joining day. So that's why the hard negotiation on that you need to join at the earliest. The second is also there's a belief among a lot of HR folks that the shorter you keep this notice period, the less likely the person is to look around and hunt for other jobs. So if I pressurize you saying you got to join in 15 days, you may or may not be able to land another offer in those 15 days. Hence, I'm kind of trying to force you into my organization. I'm not a big fan of this approach because I think people should have the ability to decide and to gauge where they want to get to. Similarly, for salary negotiations, again, the temptation is to fit people within the budget. But contrary to popular belief, an HR person does not take the remaining money home. So if the budget is 10 lakhs, I end up hiring somebody at 7. Um, Sadly, I will not be taking the remaining money home. It does not add to my salary or my bonus. The idea is just to work within a budget and to bring in a person who can grow from 7 to 10 depending on their skills and experience. If I get a very skilled person, I will hire towards the 10 side of it. If I get somebody who's a relative fresher or somebody with entry level experience, I'll hire on what the lower end of what's called the salary range for that position. That's I hope that answers the question.
Nice. Yeah, that was very tactical. I think that surely covers a lot. And I'll also say that landing a job is a probability game. It's the game of numbers. The more doors you knock on, the more you understand what kind of questions typically they ask in that particular industry or for that particular role. The more your answers become crisp, confident, to the point. It's also about practice. So if you're giving an interview after a few years, you're going to be rusty, you're going to be rough on the edges, you're going to take some time. And it's unfair to blame it on the HR or the interviewer by saying that they're being hard on you. Whereas perhaps your preparation is not there yet. Second is, I don't know, some people have a different opinion on this, but at least get a little bit of your numbers straight. When I used to sit for interviews, I would at least have an idea of what is the salary range that I'm sitting for, or I would ask them upfront. And if they would ask me that, what are you looking at, then I'll have a number in mind. I think very early on, I would say that I don't know or whatever. As a novice, you make those mistakes, but just don't do it. That does not come across really professional or very confident. And also have the attitude of at least not looking like you're desperate for this job, even if you are. Come across as someone who feels or knows that they're going to bring value to this role, and they're going to also solve the problem of that HR who's looking to fulfill that role. So nobody's doing anyone a favor. There's the role that has opened up, the HR quickly wants to fill it, and you happen to be the person who can also solve the problem for the HR. So, like, you're not knocking on a door and asking them to create a role for you. The role is already there, they're already hiring for it. So, also function out of, hey, this is a win win situation for two of us. The moment we sit for an interview with that mindset, negotiations, tough questions, and little things that you're nervous about, the way you look at the interview becomes more like I'm having a conversation to see if they are also a fit for me, right? So that is the kind of little bit of a power play. They also get it, right? So depending on how many years they've been interviewing, that would be a very interesting conversation for you.
So my suggestion is, if you can, I mean, to anyone who's listening or watching, if there's one part of the discussion that you can bookmark and use, I mean, go back 45 seconds or a minute, listen to these words because they're very important. So don't feel pressurized, don't feel desperate. There's a difference between being desperate and being keen. So show your keenness, don't be desperate, and remember, it's a transaction. The other person has a KRA to fill. You have a job to land. You're partners. You're not really two people fighting it out, where only one will survive, the other will die.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right. We have another question. If an organization, an IT MNC, wants to redraft their values, what can be an effective way to go about it? Also, if the company is a subsidiary of a larger conglomerate, to what extent should its values overlap with that of the parent group? That's very specific. Sumit, you wanna? I think this is right up your alley.
Interesting question, and this is an issue that I've handled in the past as well. If you look at a small little company called Zappos, its values and its customer service ethos is very different from the parent company which acquired it. The parent company is Amazon. So their values overlap only in terms of providing exceptional customer service, but Zappos is actually far ahead of where Amazon is. So that Amazon, if you consider, is at a certain level X, Zappos is a few steps ahead of it and delivers much more value to, or at least it used to its customers. So one of the things to think about when you're thinking about values is just make a list of all the things you want to be known for, or all the things that you hold close to yourself personally as a leader or a founder or simply as a human being. And what is your definition? So what is integrity? Does integrity mean that I will not offer a bribe because it's a crime, or does integrity mean that I promise to do the right thing even when no one's watching? So uh, what do your values mean to you? How much of an inconvenience are you willing to go to live by those values? And I've got a little example here, again, from one of my favorite early career companies, which was GE Capital. They had built a new office in Gurgaon, and when you are trying to start operating from a new office, you need all those building permissions and certificates and electricity connection and a sewage connection, all of that. Uh, some government official demanded a hefty bribe, saying, without this, you will not get a power connection. The company refused, saying, we don't pay bribes. And the person said, okay, fine, deal with it. So for 3 years, they ran the company on diesel gensets. So the entire office building, which probably housed a couple of thousand people, you can imagine the power bill. They ran it on diesel power till the court ruled in their favor. The person was suspended, and the department was ordered to pay damages to the organization. So it would have been very easy for them to say that this is how business is done in this country, and we just have to go local and do things the way the locals do it. But they refuse, saying we can't have integrity as a value if we don't display it ourselves. And once again, I heard this story back in 2005 when I joined the organization. 20 years later, I still find it a beautiful example of how to live your values. But
Wow.
Sonali, I'd love to hear your take on how you think about values and how and why they can be defined and their importance to culture.
Yeah. First of all, I love that story. I don't think we hear all this enough because positive news doesn't spread as much as the negative news. It doesn't make it to the headline. So I'm so glad you're actually sharing all this for all of us to know. And it takes real courage to stand up to a system which is, of course, so skewed that we all know about it, but nobody wants to really do anything. Um, I think values is something in a certain sense that we are born with, and that sets the foundation. You can't change too much about it. I don't think values is something that we, any of us, actively had thought about or made a decision as a person that these are my one or two values, unless you have, again, an organization or you're running a team where you have to tell them and you have to put it on paper or on your website, mission, vision, values, all of that. Or you're, let's say, a creator and you have your values to create content or talk about stuff, right? It's something that you believe and you function out of. It's become a big part of your decision making process, the logic, the way you live life. It's all about extracting something that is already inside of you in words on paper, like bringing it to life and figuring out, oh, this is how I function and this is how I make my decisions, this is how I think about the world. And when it comes to an organization which is not stemmed out of you, making a certain change can be very difficult, right? Of course, as people, we would always want to do the right things, show up in the right way, but we know that when we're dealing with people, not everything can work in the same way, right? So I want to say that drafting values is not the hard part. The hard part is getting the write off or the sign off that this is the value that we're going to follow. So, depending on the number of people who are going to sign off of you, that's going to be the bigger task. So, I would say figure out what are your negotiables and non negotiables. In your value stack, if you feel like, hey, these are one, two, three things I will never go against, then you put that forward as something that, hey, this is what I truly believe, and I'm not going to go back on this. But these are things that I would also want, but I'm open to hearing your suggestions and your thoughts about it, whether we want to have them or not, and let's have an open discussion about it. Try not to get too personal. When someone questions that, hey, I don't think this is an important thing to put on paper, it feels like they're attacking us and our value system and the way we function and who we are as people. That's not the case. Unless this is your organization, you're a partner, you're a director, you're at the top of the food chain, or it is you are the founder, co-founder. um, don't take it too personally. If you're an employee, if you're part of the chain, you can always look for other organizations with whom your value matches. You don't necessarily have to fight the system and go all crazy and like lose sleep over it. Even if the organization does not align with the values you have, it does not change you as a person. It's not a question on your integrity, it's not a question on how you do work. You can still keep aligning yourself to your set of values and function out of that. And whether it should overlap with the values of the parent group or not, again, is a question of what is the process, functions, and decision making looking like. What does the parent group think, right? Again, this cannot be a one person discussion, cannot be a one person decision making at all. Put the right people in the room, have your thoughts on paper, have the right reasons behind it, and know that it may or may not be accepted the way you feel it should be accepted, and be okay with it. I'll always say that don't beat yourself up for it, because there's only so much that we can change. But you function out of your values. You can make sure your team, your juniors, the people you directly manage, function out of a certain level of values and ethics. And if you can manage that bit, you're already making a difference.
I mean, I'd agree. And one point to remember here is that you may have heard of a company called Enron. One of their values was integrity. So you know what they did. It was just words on paper
Yeah.
and completely meaningless value. So the leadership did not live the value. There probably were junior employees who were involved in the massive cover up as well. Completely pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all know a few people that say something and do something else. So just don't be them. Right? All this,
True.
all good looking website pages don't really matter. All right. Awesome. This is an interesting one. What do you think about specific training for managers for understanding the Gen Z, their expectations, and getting the most for them and out of them also? Okay. How do you see HR playing an important role in it? Spending time with both Gen Zs and their, I'm going to read up, managers who are not part of my team. I see a lot of challenges around this, the expectations management on both sides. Sumit, what do you think?
So, considering you're much closer to being Gen Z than I am, I think you should take this up.
Um, okay, this is funny. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by saying that this hate around the Gen Zs is not nice, right? Every time a new generation pops up, I think we are so we hate the audacity that the new people have, that we just want to punch them down and be like, "Stay in your lane." That's not nice. Um, Not too many years back, when millennials were the younger generation, we have faced it. I'm sure every other generation has also gone through their thing. So let's not pass this baton. Like, unnecessary hate is not required. Yes. Having said that, do they have their flaws? Of course, like any other generation. They're young. They have, again, they have the whole thing of, I'm going to change the world, change the system, all of that. A lot of energy, um, lot of courage to speak up opinions, all of that is there. So what I potentially see is, I often do kind of a parallel between parenting and management. Of course, you being a parent, you can kind of sign off on that. I being not a parent but a kid can also sign off on that. That what we see as a generational gap between the parents is that parents look at their parents and use those parenting styles, the grandparent parenting styles, on the younger kids. That's like not even a one generation gap, that's like two, three generations gap, where there's a mismatch, expectation, style, communication, all of that. Same with the managers. The middle management is honestly so stretched beyond the limit, and they're just sandwiched between everything, that they're looking at the higher ups and the way that they were managed at their peak periods, taking all that, not knowing who to role model, not unlearning so many things, and using those methods to manage the younger generation, who are absolutely different people, come from very different, the world they live in and the world they're born in is absolutely different than what we had even a few years back. So that's where it all begins, that's the rubber meets the road problem. The managers have to understand that there's way more unlearning than learning, way more, and it starts by just admitting that the managers also do not know things, right? The moment I talk to a junior, even 1 2 years younger than me, I understand how much they know about the world, I understand how much they know about technology, about work, how much opinions they have, how much values they come out from. And it's not on me to take that personally, feel like, how dare you have opinions, how could you say this? It's okay, they're human being, they're allowed to have certain things, right? So as a manager, you gotta like keep your ego at the door as well, and be like, hey, there are certain things that I should be open to learning from my juniors. And once you open that door up, the Gen Z's or whoever you're interacting with at whatever level, they also start trusting you as someone who's not merely giving them orders or delegating tasks as them, as someone who genuinely is interested in their growth, as someone who looks at them as a team player, not just like a person who's following orders randomly. And that's when they will also be open to listening to you. So when you make a statement or give them a direction, it's good to always have a logic or a reason behind it and not just say, just do it because I told you so, or this is the way it's done. If you're saying that, that means you have also never investigated why do we do this way. Or maybe perhaps when you were young, you asked the question and you were shot down and you never thought you'll ask it again. That is not how this generation is going to take it. And I always say this, I'll say it, Gen Z's are doing a lot of the things that millennials wanted to do. We did not have the courage. Very few of us had the courage. But if you look at the majority, as Gen Z's as a whole, they have a lot of backbone in that sense. They are asking questions. They are unafraid to be shot down, and they are okay to walk away. Right. So just going to war with them, I don't think is the right way to do this. So have reverse mentoring where let them teach you a thing or two. And once they see that your receptivity to learning does not stem out of ego, you can then do the same to them, right? And be kind, be polite, be a human being. Let's not push people around just like they're a number on a paper. They are human first and resource second. So that would be my side of things. Sumit, what do you think?
So I'll start off by saying parenting and management are very different. Parenting is sometimes a little more like a hostage situation because you can't put a person on a PIP or make them exit the system. So,
Love it.
not very fond of the parallel, but I mean, jokes aside, I think as millennials, we're a little bit of a sandwich generation where, on one hand, we've got Gen X folks who've been parents or who've been reporting managers to us, um, and we've been taught the concept of loyalty and sticking around and not questioning authority. So hierarchy is not to be questioned. You follow orders. If a manager says or an elder says something, you got to toe the line and believe it. That's why I think millennials, we were the most uh, offended when a 16-year-old girl asked world leaders, "How dare you?" Like, what kind of language is that? How can you? How dare you use such language to folks who are way senior? But with Gen Z, I think that questioning of authority, it's a very healthy sign. It We don't have to think of it as a challenge, and we don't have to think of us ourselves as know-it-alls who have all the answers. I think it's our opportunity to say that we don't have all the answers. We're willing to discover them or co-create with you. So I'm happy to work with you to find out the answers. I don't have all of them yet. So as long as we can display that level of maturity, we'll be fine. Gen Z gets all this hate because one of the frequent questions from them is, "What's in it for me?" or "Why should I do this?" or "What is the purpose behind what I'm doing?" Not bad questions at all. Uh, if we can proactively address them, we will actually end up reducing all these questions. So that's what we need to realize and work on.
I really like it. I think that's, you're right. I mean, you put it across so beautifully that what's in it for me is something that we all think about, right? I mean, anything, you're all the people who are asking these questions. When you join this live, I'm sure you thought, why should I join it? What's in it for me? You're not joining it merely because you want to give us views. Nobody thinks like
And
that.
because we are your favorite people.
Yeah, part for you. Shikha, we see you. Yeah. All right, awesome. I have a really funny question, and I would like you to take this up. Okay, what would the key areas be where we can break HR for better benefits and as much as possible with a wing?
Seriously, that's funny. So I'll be very, very politically correct for starters here and say that don't think about breaking HR. We are human too, um, or most of the times we are. Um, so better benefits. Think about what is meaningful to you in your life and career stage. For example, if you're in the process of, say, I'm assuming this is when you're applying for a new job. One is the salary part of it. salaries usually are there are fixed budgets, and it's very difficult to go beyond a particular range. So if I've decided on a range of say 6 lakhs to 10 lakhs for a role, very unlikely I would be able to go beyond 10, because it doesn't fit the cost model. And also very unlikely I'll be able to offer 10 to a person, because while the range exists, the purpose of the range is to get an entry level or a relatively fresh person at 6, help them in growing through the range. So by giving them increments over a year, 2 years, 3 years, getting them closer to the 10 part of it, and then helping them in getting promoted to the next level. If I bring you in closer to 10, I will not be able to give you an increment next year, because my range will stay. So be prepared for a 1%, 2% kind of a increment next year if you're able to negotiate beyond that range. Having said that, benefits that you can talk about could range from whatever's important to you. It could be physical wellness in the form of gym memberships. It could be mental well-being solutions, like say a subscription to an app like Calm or Headspace. Who are not paying me for saying this, but just clarifying. Uh, it could be learning opportunities. So what courses are you willing to sponsor me for? I will join in. I like the company. I like the work that you're doing, but my career is important to me as well. Would you be willing to sponsor me for a particular course? You may not have the policy in place. You may not have a defined budget, but as an HR person, we can still create some kind of a model which says, this person has a very niche kind of a skill. I'd like to retain this person for 2 years. The cost of hiring a new person and training them, onboarding them after 6 months is X. If instead we can create a policy which allows us to um, train and retain them, it'll cost maybe half as much or one third as much. So that is how these models are built up. Ideally, it should be an HR person designing these, but as an employee or as a candidate, also you can try to draft these. At the candidate stage, it's unlikely that the company will listen to you. Once you've been hired, once you're showing the kind of value you're creating, it becomes much easier to talk about benefits. Still not saying you'll win all the battles there, but you've got a fighting chance.
Nice. I like that, Sumit. I think again you went very tactical. A lot of things to think about from the like the behind the scenes of how HRs work and what does the salary range stand for. And it's not really a no, but it's also like um they're creating avenues for you to rise up to that certain bracket. What I also kind of add here is to be a bit clear. What does better benefits mean to you? Like you mentioned that courses and mental health help and all of that. Does that mean anything to you, or like, or better benefits, whatever, or any kind of benefits mean that flexibility at work or hybrid workspaces, or the office has to have a sleeping room or a massage room or all of that, or ping pong tables and stuff? Does that mean or lunch and dinners and pickups and drops, are these the things that mean something to you? And if you're talking about benefits which are tangible in nature, then you can look up the company website and see what kind of benefits they already offer, and then ask the HR what are the benefits you are eligible for and negotiate on that. Say that if they're doing two things and you really want to join them, but you'd rather help them extend their benefits, and then and just say that, hey, I saw on your website you do XYZ, I would like to get access to this as well. Right? So go with a lot of clarity as to what they can offer, and is that something that you want. And don't sit there and then think, or then ask them to say certain stuff, because they are not prepared to make your life easy. They are just going there to find the right candidate for the job. It's the onus is on you to make the conversation as frictionless as possible for them to say yes. So take a lot of responsibility in that conversation. And again, try to make it a win-win for them. Don't go and be like, I'm going to break the HR, or I'm going to like win the deal and come, because you're going to be working with that person. And let's say they are whatever for whatever reason they are desperate to fill that position and they happen to go with you, if you start off on a bad note with them, is that the HR that you want on your team who later will manage you? Because we are all human beings. We all have our our set of bad emotions as well. So you don't want to start off any relationship in that note where you're kind of fighting with them all the time and making them feel miserable for just getting you on board. So don't do that. Attempt it with the right mindset and the right approach, and do what's best for you, without hampering what's best for the other person as well. That's the right way to approach this. HRs are there for a reason. They add a lot of value to the company, without getting enough credit for it. I don't think they deserve the hate they get. And it's not always having a Rangoli competition. Jokes aside, it's an important work. So let's not go. And also, a lot of HRs, when they are in the season of putting people on the seats, it's exhausting. They are tired, to say the least. They keep on hearing jargon from people because everybody comes rehearsed, everybody looks different but speaks the same language. So think of it from their point of view. What can you say, do, bring on the table that's just gonna make it like an undeniable offer for them? Think of it that way. Don't think of breaking them. Think of, again, making it a win-win. Yeah. All right. On that note, does the current salary really matter for the next role? This is interesting.
I wish it did. This is one of my pet peeves. I absolutely hate the fact that it does matter. And one of the things I try and challenge my clients on is that if you're I'm not really a recruiter, but sometimes when I'm dealing with companies that don't have an HR function at all, it makes my life easier to first help them recruit an HR person and then train that HR person on how to run HR for that company. So um, what I tell my clients flat out is, I'm not going to ask for the current salary. You want to do it, you do it. You tell me what is the budget you've defined. I will tell you what is the caliber of the person I can find within that budget. Plain and simple. I think that's how most organizations should function. You should know if you're hiring, whether you're hiring an HR manager or a chief marketing officer or a regional sales manager. You should know based on industry benchmarks. You should know based on various internal and external factors what is the salary band or salary range for that role. And these days you've got tools which give you a fairly decent crowdsourced picture. So you've got tools like Payscale, you've got tools like Ambition Box, where you search for any company, any role, you get access to crowdsourced information on their pay bands. So you can also, as a job seeker, you can kind of make up your mind and say that if I'm applying for this role, this is the kind of range I would want to look at. But yeah, I think looking at current salary is an absolute crime. I wish I could prevent people from doing it, but so far largely been a losing battle.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think I'm going to talk from the point of view of not a employee per se, but let's say people who are doing side hustles or taking part-time freelancing projects. It's a very different angle, but you still are negotiating some kind of a pay or remuneration for your skill and the time you bring to the table. What you feel you're worth versus what you really worth, the gap between the two should be as little as possible. And it's great to have aspiration. It's also not really nice to undersell yourself, which I think I do a lot. But if you tell the person that I'm going to do this for you, and this is what I'm going to charge, or this is what I think I'm worth, have enough proof of work to ensure that you really have tangible enough output put or benefits or something to show for your work. If that means that kind of being a nerd about whatever work you have done in the past, even when you're doing corporate interviews and stuff, right, or for those roles, say that, hey, I joined at this put a story in front of them, right? with data points. I joined at this particular salary. This is how much I have given to the company. This is the ROI I've brought. This is the number I've gotten. This is how much I've saved. Talk in numbers, and hence this is what is my trajectory been in my past or my current organization. And based on my performance in the last whatever years, whatever months, I feel that I can 2x it, 4x it, because now my skills, my expertise is going to compound. My learning graph has become much shorter. If you talk to them like a businessman, like business person, like a business person, it's gonna make a lot more business sense for them to give you that hike or give you that particular bracket, because you are already showing them that you are worth the higher end of the bracket and not the lower end. And they will also be like, hey, this person solves so much of my problems, why am I even negotiating with this person? Right? Again, think from their point of view. Prepare, saying that what can I show them or tell them that will make this something that they don't want off the table. Then you're fixated. It takes a lot of time. I don't think I have cracked it perfectly enough, but the mindset has changed. Now, whenever I enter a conversation, I am trying to understand what possibly can I tell them that has to be true and has to be a fact that will solve the problem that they are looking to solve. And be very truthful. Going back to values again, do not do not say lies, do not over promise and then under deliver, the worst kind of thing that you can do. And do not tell them that you will do something that you know in your heart and your soul that you cannot do and you cannot achieve. So don't do all of that, right? Then that's gonna obviously not gonna be a good thing. HRs talk to other HRs. Word gets out fast. Just be truthful to yourself, but approach it like a transactional conversation. It'll really help you. All right. This is a nice comment that we have towards the end of our conversation. Thanks for the deep dive, acknowledging that age and experience is not the only thing that adds value in today's time. Good takeaway for managers, human first, resource later. Hope Humanize takes this to masses or classes. I'm going to read it out from the rest of it. Way to go, Sonali. Sumit, I feel you. This was good to see both sides. I'm sure I can have better conversations with both managers and Gen Z. Maybe sharing these pearls of wisdom with both sides, telling them we are on one team. Awesome. Okay. Well, that kind of brings us to the last few minutes of our conversation. So, I want to tell you something really cool. Today is the only conversation so far that I've had in how many ever LinkedIn lives I've done when I've not pulled up any question that we had discussed. It's only been the community that are asking us questions, and I think this is really cool. That's the way it should be done.
I mean, I absolutely love that, Sonali, and I think it's also a pointer to the fact that culture, people issues, they're not just mumbo jumbo; they really matter. And it's not that people want pizzas and um, ping pong tables and the usual things that are associated with culture. They're really looking for something deeper. They want to uh, contribute. They want to create value for the companies that they work with, but not without getting anything of value in return. So if we can make it a mutually winning proposition, I think that definitely is the future. That is what companies should do more of. And that's what I try and talk to clients about as well.
For sure, for sure. So with any last closing thoughts, and perhaps you can also tell people how they can reach out to you and what they can reach out to you for.
So you can reach out to me for absolutely terrible jokes that very few people laugh at. That's number one on the priority list. Um, but yeah, so I love having conversations around culture. In general, I build people systems. I'm not very fond of recruitment, but I do it in small pockets. Largely, I mean, if you've got a one-to-one question about how to navigate a particular solution that doesn't involve breaking HR, happy to have that. If you think breaking HR is important, we can talk about how and why you should. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can reach out there. And of course, um, you can also find me through reaching out to Sonali as well.
For sure, for sure. And thanks to all the people who are signed in and asked all of your questions. Just pulling up a few comments that I'm receiving. I'm glad that, on a Thursday morning, I was not expecting so many of you all to be active. Hopefully, you're not breaking the system and also like kind of doing this from work times, but make it up for it later on. But I had a really great time, Sumit. I think this is all that I was expecting out of this conversation. I'm just so glad that so many people showed up. They asked such different kinds of questions, straight from being an employee to managers to HRs, and going all around the culture space. And I'm glad that you and I were able to also have this chat, which was long overdue.
Absolutely.
uh, and please reach out to Sumit and go make sure you follow him. Make sure you say hi to him. He posts a lot of cool things on LinkedIn almost every day. I don't think you miss a day. I'm not very sure about your schedule.
Not every day, but fairly frequent.
Yeah, fairly frequently. And get to learn about his work. And if you have very specific problems that you feel that he can solve, please reach out to him. We're one community. Again, hopefully not from the context of breaking the HR, because I mean, he's part of that fraternity as well, so let's not do that. And yeah, and yes, happy to have other conversations with anyone who's been listening to us. This conversation will be there on LinkedIn, hopefully forever. And it'll also go up on my YouTube channel, so you can rewatch how many ever times you wanted to. And I'll see you on the next LinkedIn Live, or any live stream for that matter. Sumit, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to see you in Gurgaon soon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for the insightful discussion, and it was great learning from you and from all the brilliant questions that came up.
Absolutely. All right. Now we're going to go over and out. Bye. Have a good
Bye,
day.
bye everyone.